We all have heard about content being this big buzzword, which, having been in content my entire life, I find it very bizarre that people are only really bringing content to the fore now, but that's another story. To help us unravel this mystery, a lot of people are obviously using the phrase, content is king, so we decided if content is king, then context is certainly God. So to help us go through this, we are going to look at some content creation, some video, and some native advertising to give you that whole kind of realm of content. It's going to be done in 3 TED-style talks. Please have your pens, iPads, phones at the ready to take notes and get ready to ask questions at the end. We'll bring up each of our presenters one at a time. So without further ado, let's welcome to the stage our first presenter, who is Owen from YuMe, the GM of Europe. Please come to the stage.
Thanks, Jeremy. Just a word of caution. The TED Talk was delivered on us about a week ago. I'm not going to invent the iPhone. I don't have a plan to save the world, so please bear with me for the next 10 minutes. So, as Jeremy said, content, as we've heard over the last 20 years, is king. So what does that mean for context? So, I'm not a very funny guy, but I'll start with this. A man walks into a pub, which is usually the way most comedians start their sketch in a British audience at least. But this is a pretty familiar picture. Someone, male, female, sat in a bar on their own, having a quiet drink, waiting for a colleague, friend, wife, husband, family member. We all do it. We pick out our smartphone, our tablet out of our pocket, and we pretend that the world disappears around us so that we don't get bothered by someone trying to sell us something. So we turn on our smartphone and there's an ad that appears. And if content is king, the ad, because I'm watching the Champions League, I'm a male, I'm in a bar, I'm watching the Champions League football, would likely be a beer ad. Fantastic. So I'm a male, I'm the target demographic, and I've got a beer ad. But that's the way that planning is delivered most of the time around the content. But what happens if I'm a male and I'm actually watching the birth of the royal baby or the announcement of the birth of the royal baby? Do I then get served a nappy or a diaper ad? And unless I'm a male who, over the last 2 years, has had a new family member, is that the right ad for me? Did you know enough about me to deliver the right ad at the right time? So is content really king, or actually is it context? Because I'm in a bar, I'm a male, I'm 25 to 44, probably extending the truth a little there for myself, but and I'm now being delivered an ad that I wasn't necessarily expecting. So I guess this goes back to the creative and media argument, which hasn't gone away, and I think the world of programmatic only makes it more and more of an argument as we go forward. The creative argument has often been, we've made a beautiful ad, people love it, all the research was fantastic, but I can take them to water, but I can't make them drink. So how do you do that? Well, if you think about media planning and the huge number of placements that we have, traditional media, digital media, many more formats coming native, which I'm sure we'll hear about in a little while, then actually planning first has become a watchword for clients and agencies alike over the last 10 years. I plan my media, and then I think about the creative. And then I think about how to deliver that to the right people at the right time in the right context. What happens, though, if you get those things right? Content, tick, beer ad, man in a bar, just about to order beer, or nappy advert, diapers advert for a man who's just had a baby who's still sat in a bar, and it's the right content. What happens if I'm not in a good mood? It's the unmeasurable act of whether I've gone to that bar, to that restaurant, to that place where I can have some quiet time. But what happens if I'm actually in a bad mood? So we teamed up with Nielsen, their neuroscience division, and we've been running tests on individuals and how they consume advertising in a digital environment over the last 3.5 months. And I'll just give you a little snapshot of a couple of these. So if I'm in a good mood, if I'm excited, then I index super highly. I'm super receptive to that brand. And if you think about the horse to water analogy, I've made a great ad, I've put it in front of the right person at the right time, and now they're happy. Well, the receptivity of that goes sky high. But if I put that ad at the wrong time in front of the person that's right, but they're tired, or they're bored, or they're stressed, well, now I get a very different receptivity score. And actually, what does that mean for a brand? Well, it could mean this. It could mean that actually I'm paying attention, or not, but actually leads to a bad brand metric. So favorability of my brand now goes negative. Purchase intent of that product, also negative. And the recommendation intent to pass on that brand to friends, families, others, does nothing. Whereas if I get the right person, the right place, the right content, and in the right context for someone who is receptive and looking for brands, then the scores are off the scale. Especially if I'm doing this by high attention and I'm in a good mood. So we've added another layer of media planning, unfortunately, so I apologize for that. But how do you find those right people, right time, in the right mood, is something that we're working towards to try and understand more and to share that more with our partners. But what happens if it goes wrong? What happens if all the best planning in the world, bad ad, good context, it just goes wrong? Well, unfortunately, and I apologize if this is a brand of any of yours out there, but it has some pretty disastrous effects. So, content is king. Agreed. Good content delivers good audiences, delivers good general feeling as long as you get them in the right mood. Context. God, I fed that line to the Festival of Media. I'm not sure if context is allowed to be God, but it's content and context together. And brand receptivity, the mood of the customer at the right time, in the right place when you're thinking about planning. When you have those three things together, then it's about the audience and a scalable audience. So I would question that actually it's not just content, it's not just context, it's not just the mood, but actually it's about finding that right audience at the right time, in the right place, every time that you deliver an ad. And I think that's how TED Talk happens. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Owen. Make sure you've taken notes there, guys. Get those questions ready for the end. So next up, we heard a little bit there about how it works, what happens. Now it's all about the content creation, so how we create the perfect content. So to help us unravel that mystery, we have Aine Kerr, who is the managing editor for Storyful. Please come to the stage.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Aine Kerr. I'm managing editor of Storyful, the first social media news agency in the world. I oversee everything from our breaking news division, it could be the protests in Baltimore to the protests in Hong Kong, the incidents around the Charlie Hebdo office, to the public projects that we work with Facebook, Google, YouTube on, human rights issues, elections around the world, powering some of those platforms for them, to our viral video unit, our Trends Wire, and then content marketing with brands and advertisers. And I'm a journalist by trade and profession, and I am somebody who profoundly believes in the idea of content and context being king and paramount to everything we do, and that idea of true journalism. I work in social media, so posts, images, videos, day to day are what we focus on. And I believe that Obviously, any of those assets, they're just a piece of information. What you have to do to each and every one of them is journalism, is storytelling, to build out the story arc, to do the verification, to do the authentication of them. And what we've been grappling with for about 5 years, I'm in the company 4 years now, is at a time when everybody is a publisher, everybody can create content with their smartphone, with their mobile phones now. At a time when everybody is a content creator, everyone is a publisher, how do we find the stories worth telling? How do we turn that content into stories? How do we find the wisdom in the crowd? How do we take the signal in the noise? And what we've been doing in recent years is taking what we call basically a human algorithm. And what I mean by a human algorithm is taking proprietary technology to mine the social web, so all of the social platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, all of them in the round, 24/7 to mine those platforms for valuable content. It could be posts, it could be images, it could be videos. But what you have to do then is underneath that layer, put journalists to it, storytellers, to build out the story arc, to ask the questions, who, what, where, when, how, why, to build the full context and the full picture of what you're doing. And we are trusted by the world's biggest newsrooms to deliver them that content. Not just the signal, not just an alert to say, this has happened, we've beaten the traditional wires, we've gotten the eyewitnesses on the ground. Could be a weather event, it could be a protest, could be the viral cat video of the day. It's not enough just to give an alert. What you have to do is match that alert to the verification and authentication of it. And so, what we've built, that human algorithm, is to take the platforms, take the APIs, and basically constantly try and minimize the noise. Build a fire hose that constantly gets streamlined as you go down through it. And so for brands and publishers and editors, what you can do is build communities. What are communities? Well, you can find people on the ground who are experts, who are eyewitnesses, who are bloggers, who are experts in their field, and build communities around it. Because remember, when an incident happens, when there's an incredible piece of content, it not just only creates a conversation, it creates a community. So what we do in Storyful all the time is build those communities, engage them, monitor them, and match algorithms to them. And we build those communities on Twitter for states, countries, topics, themes, events. The second thing we do all the time to try and minimize that noise, to make sense of it, is to basically build advanced keyword searches. Try and predict what is your audience going to use when they tweet, when they post to Instagram, when they post a video to YouTube. So again, trying to minimize the noise. And the third thing that we can do with technology is get hyperlocal, dropping a pin in, using a geofence around an event, around a building, and pull in the content that's most valuable. And why do we have to do that? Well, back to my point, social web is so noisy. It's 300 hours of YouTube video being uploaded every minute. It's Facebook posts, 600,000 of them being shared every single minute. And we have a duty to our audience to make sense of it. You know, we've all heard, I'm sure, the phrase from Jay Rosen, you know, the audience, well, they were formerly known as the audience. They're now our publishers. And they actually can contribute incredible content that if you have the time and patience to go and contextualize it, you in turn can go and engage and build incredibly rich storytelling around it. And so this goes to the three pillars. When I talk about context, what do I mean? Well, the discovery I've talked about, monitoring the social web, pulling out the signal in the noise. But the second key pillar that we have a duty on is the verification. The date, source, location. It doesn't matter if it's a tweet, a post, image, video. Can we build a clear picture of the digital footprint? You know, who owns this piece of content? Who is the content creator with the copyright? Can we build a sense of the location? So in sense of videos, frame by frame analysis, looking at the weather, the shadows, accents, dialects, everything in a video to help you build an impression of where this is in time. We go and use Google satellite imagery all day, every day. Google Maps to go and actually pinpoint. It could be a street corner. It could be a building, a landmark in the background, to be absolutely 100% confident that this is where we think it is. And the third part then is collaboration. We work with eyewitnesses on the ground. We work with professional journalists, finding other angles, other sources to build out the story in the round. So date, source, location. That's what we live by, live and die by as journalists day to day as we build out a context. And the final thing is that question of acquisition. When I come back to context, that is the final action point for us. If we can find this content and verify it, well, then there's a conversation to be had with the audience. Like, constantly, I think we're all guilty sometimes of just pushing content and not properly engaging and realizing that that audience, in turn, are publishers. They want to talk to us. They want to talk to brands and advertisers. They want to talk to traditional newsrooms and to share their story. And we are in the business every single day of hundreds and thousands of videos and images coming through our filter, and we go and talk to these people. And we ask them the traditional questions: who, what, where, when, how, why, that we can build out the context and supply it to the world's media, whether you're a traditional advertiser, a traditional media partner, or one of the platforms. And so, because it's so rich, it's noisy, but there's so much rich content, that when you find it, this is what it does. You have the ability to build audiences, to build traffic, to build revenue, but you have to come with the context. You have to come with the story, the entire story arc, the entire backstory. And because we live and die by that digital footprint analysis, that forensic frame-by-frame analysis, that corroboration, we can go to our clients not only with a summary of why does this content on social matter. We can also give them the entire verification piece, but constantly we put our clients in touch every day with that eyewitness, with that content creator. And it doesn't matter if it's a breaking news story or it's the viral video of the day, or maybe it's a trend, it's a great meme, it's a great hashtag. It's being able to build out that story arc so that you not only maybe help own the first click, but it's about the second click, building out the story arc around it that your audience will come and do drill time with you. It's not about clicks, it's often just about the clock, and that's what we help our clients do. I'll speak very briefly to these, but increasingly it is important that we can monitor social web in real time using our communities, that we can go and create social pages, websites, event media-driven experiences. Again, using that audience, but having built the backstory, the story arc around it. And increasingly, where there is huge potential now is using that audience to actually help brands, publishers with video advertising. And so we have, in our experience of building out all of these storytelling formats, we've worked with clients like Android, with Whirlpool, and with AT&T. And it's a really simple concept. Get us rolling videos because we want to teach people about how to roll on their data. You get 10 uploaded content creators, build a story arc, and you can tell something very, very powerful. So I'll summarize. I'm going to play a quick video in a minute. But I guess the key thing in summarizing about content and context being king is that it's about authenticity, not authority. It's about, not necessarily always clicks, but getting the clock and drill down time. It's about trust. It's about being hassle-free with people out there. And I guess at the end of the day, I would say that there is an incredible opportunity here. This is the golden age of storytelling. If you can build a social radar and put the skills and expertise against it, build the context, you're going to experience the golden age of storytelling. And very quickly to the video, please. Thank you.
In the age of social media, everyone is sharing content. From the raw power of Mother Nature to the tragedy of war, the simple joys of human endeavor and its absolute limits. But with thousands of updates, images, and videos uploaded every minute, how do you separate the signal from the noise? Storyful finds the stories worth telling. Our technology is the first to discover and verify, defining moments around the world and deliver them to you. We monitor the social web in real time. When an event happens, our technology sends out an alert, and Storyful's team discovers content close to the source. We verify the date, time, and location, and acquire all rights to the content so that newsrooms, brands, and advertisers can own and tell the story. Through optimized functions with customizable features, Storyful employs a combination of geofencing, custom influencer lists, and advanced keyword searches to create a feed that aggregates all social activity around a chosen event, topic, or theme.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!
Social content you can trust. To engage and inform. Any country in real time. Any topic 24/7. Storyful helps you own any conversation or trend and have complete confidence in using social media. For newsrooms, for brands, Storyful powers great storytelling.
Okay, thank you very much, Sonia. Round of applause. Okay, guys, so we've had the distribution side of content, we've had the creation of content, and those two words that everyone else is talking about, it's native advertising. So please welcome to the stage Julian Verdier, CEO of Ad-You-Like.
Thanks, Jeremy. Hi, everybody. I'm Julian Verdier. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Ad-You-Like. So Ad-You-Like is all about native advertising since 2012. It's been a long time. We did a lot of campaigns. So I want to just try to explain you why native advertising is hitting the world, where does it come from, where does it go. It's very easy to understand that now. People have shifted their attention to the mobile. Mobile is all about the feed, and if you want to be in the feed, you have to be native because classic ads don't fit in the feed. So people have changed a lot of things, and this is the kind of ads we can run in feed, in the desktop, and in the mobile. So it's really integrated, it's really slick. We really work it with more than 1,000 brands in France, in the UK, across Europe. It's a business that is really taking a lot of steam now. And you all know that you are more likely to survive a crash plane than click on a bunny hat. And really, we created Ad-You-Like and all those offers because those four main reasons are that advertising formats were always the same. Banner blindness was more and more important, CTR decline, and we see that there is new advertising models that make much more sense than the classic advertising models. So we love that sentence from Howard Luck Gossage. We say people read what they want to read, and sometimes it's an ad. It is so true. We did a study in the UK that showed that 6 out of 10 people could click and engage with some content, even if it's an ad. They don't care whether it's paid or not. So this is a very good point for us. And we know that money is shifting from the classic display stuff to the native stuff, as in 2013, 6.7% of the budgets were on the native, and it's really picking up a lot of steam. As you can see, Business Insider prediction, we should be something like $10 billion this year, doubling up till 2018. So it's really more than just a buzzword. It's a huge business, and we want to explain you why the growth and power of immersive media and experience, and why millennials look for it, because people take more and more time on the technology. It dominates our attention. There is a lot of content which is created, as you all know, and people say before, on new websites, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. Content is there, and we have to find ways to deliver it cleverly. So the convergence of technology, creativity, and data now means that what can and cannot be done is just your imagination, and we think that we are just at the beginning of what people can do. We are really opening new worlds with the native. And let me talk to you about immersive media. It will be part and parcel of the future of advertising. Immersive media is really try to cut the relationship with old school mental state with new mental state, all immersive. Immersion really blurs the lines between the story and marketing, storyteller, audience, illusion, and reality. Why immersive experiences are growing is just because the millennials are more and more engaging with just stories and not content. As you can see, in feed is really a visual focus. It's read, it's not just scenes, which is a big lift about all that. We really ask to the people to run the longer headline that they can because it brings higher engagement. some examples that are quite cool. Campaign we did, Jude Law Dance for Johnny Walker, Very Brit Rhythm, Netflix and House of Cards, BMW for i3, the Lego movie. It's really the beginning of that new trend. We have just scratched the surface of what we can do now with immersive media. It's just the beginning of the story, as you can see. And what about programmatic? We just did a partnership with AppNexus to bring native to the programmatic, and we really think that programmatic is the friend of the native. It helps us to be more immersive in the media. Programmatic is a really huge business, as you all know, moving very steadily. We think that we are coming from madman, moving to mass man, and even more moving to mad mass man, which is the mix of creativity and technology, content and programmatic, art and science. And as I say, native landscape is beginning to take shape. We are just beginning to really understand the power of the content and make sense of it. The question is why an immersive future, native ads will be the future. We love that quote. We think that the most effective ad campaigns are emotional, and the quote from Les Binet and Peter Fields, when they say emotional advertising is twice as efficient as rational and deliver twice the profit. It's so true. We try to find emotions, we try to create stories, and not just to engage people with topics or ads. And we did a study in the UK as well to show how it adds value to hold that, whether it is the business, entertainment, general news, or overall. Sponsor content really adds value, and above that, sponsor content really boosts favorability towards the brands, which is very important for us. So we really think that in-feed really lift a lot of value and create true immersion. And our idea is really that the future is content, immersion, native, and it's what we are all in since 2012 at Agile with that. It's really the future because people's minds are shifting to new ways of engagement. Brands as story, people don't care to engage with their story, whether they are advertised or not. So the native is the only way to really scale that on every device programmatically, and it is just the best way to make the content blur again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Julian. Stay there. Anya and Owen, come back up. I'm sure there'll be some questions. That was a great overview of what is happening in the content world. As I say, we had the creation, the distribution, and the native side of it. I suppose one question I have actually is, have a seat. Yeah, let's relax. Sit on there. You don't have to stand. One question I have is, in terms of, we talk about, and interestingly in your presentation there, about the added value, the content, the sponsored content can bring to something. And then I suppose from your point, Anya, in terms of getting the journalists to actually buy into that, how hard is that? Trying to get them to buy into content that they know might not necessarily be a hard-hitting news story, but might be used in a sponsored form or a native form. How hard is that to get that buy-in?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think journalists by their nature are driven very much by the idea of storytelling. And in Storyful, what we have done, the technology that we use for traditional newsrooms like New York Times, ABC, Wall Street Journal, BBC, is the exact same technology that we use for a brand and advertiser. The protocols, the verification, the type of interviewing that we do with content creators is the same. And the conversations are very similar, because sometimes with this content, you're having to say to a person, well, we think Wall Street Journal will be interested in this, and we equally think Pizza Hut might want to use this particularly. And so it's about, our processes are the same. People are just so excited to work with content creators, help them actually just go and provide that story to world media. And I think it's that excitement all the time of being able to use technology journalism. It's a very unique proposition to bring content that often is overlooked. It comes from places of the world that often don't have huge Wi-Fi, broadband penetration, can be the content that some people may not have a respect for. So what we're trying to do all the time is content into a story, but to your point, crucially though, our journalists never look for public credit, so that makes them even more unusual. We are in the business of making other people look good if it means the story will get told.
Okay. And I suppose on the back of that, did the audience have any questions? We have time for one more before I hog all the space. There we go. We have a question just there. Thank you, Guy. Almost there, almost there.
Just a question for Anya. In terms of your business, how much of a challenge is it for you to keep up with each new video sharing platform that appears? I don't think I saw Snapchat, for example, on your charts, but I imagine you're now having to look at that as a, and how do you manage that opportunity?
Yeah, it's a great question. Yeah, all the time, having to take these APIs, build out new applications. You need only look at a story like Hong Kong protest this year where people were using messaging apps. Obviously WeChat, Weibo, all of these Asia channels as well. So that is the question. Day by day, you come to our newsrooms around the world. It's technologists sitting beside journalists. Every day they find new platforms that they want to discover content on, and it's up to our product team to figure out how do we take the APIs, build applications, and make sense of it. So it's an ongoing process. It's hugely exciting, but it's equally scary because the volume of content out there is just extrapolating 10 times over every day, I would say.
Okay, guys, we're up on time, but I'm sure if you've got any more questions for our three wonderful presentations, they will be more than willing to answer them. Thank you very much, Julian, Anya, and Owen. Thank you.